What's going on, gentlemen? Back again with another video. In this one, I'm going to be talking about discipline and how masculine energy thrives on discipline. Okay, so discipline is a word that people really cringe at. And the people who cringe at discipline the most are men. It's crazy, but we live in a backwards world, right? I was just talking to one of my coworkers. It's a girl that I work with, and she is African. She's from Africa, and so she grew up very traditional. And her and I were able to connect over that, my father's 87. I grew up in a very traditional, old school home, and she did too, right? Because their culture is still that way. And so discipline is like a beautiful thing in my mind. I think that discipline is a great thing. I think I need to have discipline. I need to be disciplined. And a lot of men in America, in our backwards society, backwards culture, they're very averse to discipline. They don't like discipline. When they hear discipline, they think of a father abusing their children or someone even abusing themselves by being too disciplined, blah, 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 right? If you have this mindset, if you think this way, if as I'm speaking to you, you notice your mind kind of running about discipline and you have this like subconscious programming, that is feminized programming. That's feminine programming. As a man, you're supposed to be disciplined within yourself. Nobody else should have to discipline you. That's actually how you get the increase in the masculine energy, is having your own discipline, right? So I had my first day at work on Saturday, my first day in the field. And then yesterday, Sunday, was my second day. I made $700 over those 2 days, right? First 2 days in the field, I made $700. I almost made the regional leaderboard. I was 6 points away from making the regional leaderboard, which is insane because these people worked all week. They had a full 7 days to get their points up. There's a point system, but it doesn't really matter to me. To me, it's the dollars. So in 2 days, I was 6 points away from making the leaderboard, and I haven't even done my first week, right? Give me a full week, and I would have been on top of the leaderboard. Same thing with just our office specifically. I'm right about in the middle of the leaderboard, and at the pace I was going, I would have beat everyone in a full week except for the top guy, who is my friend who came in, and that's why we're in on this together, right? Because we're both G's. We worked together in 2023, and we both got promoted to management together over everyone else, right? So that's what made me want to talk about discipline, because for him and I, that's all it really is. With what we're doing, we stay where we're at. We don't leave where we're working. We do not leave there. And it's sales. And everybody that comes around us, we literally talk to 100% of the people. We talk to everybody that comes around us, every single person, right? And so it's that discipline that him and I have together, right? We don't need each other. We already have that discipline where we speak to every single person. So him and I perform and we make money. He made $3,000 this weekend. He made $3,000 in 2 days this weekend, right? It's all just discipline. It's just discipline. Everyone else is fucking off. They're going to their vehicle. They're sitting on their phone and scrolling, and they're letting people walk past them, right? But beyond that, the discipline gives you an energy. It gives you a masculine energy. Because the job that I'm doing, you have 2 seconds. You have a first impression, and you're going to get a yes or a no. That's pretty much all it comes down to, is you got about 2 seconds to get a yes or a no. So your energy, your vibe is extremely important, right? My manager said in front of the whole office today, he said, I think that you did so well, Nick, because you have a natural charisma, right? He was like, I think your charisma, because I didn't even they put me through 2 days of training and then they put me in the field. Today was my 3rd day of training. And everyone thought that everyone that's above me thought that it was funny. They were like, dude, you went into the field before you finished training. What the fuck? And it was like, well, yeah, I mean, the manager knew, right? I know my friend, who's one of the leaders of the office, and he told the manager, like, this guy doesn't need training. He doesn't need a whole lot. He just needs to know the facts and the details of the product, and he'll be good to go. So that's what I did. That's what I learned, and I went out there, and I made that money. And he said that. You didn't even know what you were doing. You didn't even get your third day of training, and you went out there and made $700 in 2 days, right? And he spoke about that natural charisma. Now, that natural charisma, that confidence, comes from my discipline, right? I discipline myself. I'm disciplined outside of my job, so then I can perform at my job, at work, right? So last night we had a Zoom call, and everybody had these goals, and the manager said everybody's goal was go to the gym 3 times a week, 3 times this week, go to the gym 5 times this week. And the manager said, I'm gonna like create a chat where we can all send like good morning messages to each other from the gym. You could send like a photo of yourself in the gym in the morning, because he said that's what they used to do. And because he was like, I don't see anybody making gains. And it was men and women that were saying they wanted to go to the gym. And I'm laughing real hard, right? Because that wasn't even one of my goals, because that's what I already do. That's what I'm doing as soon as I'm done with this video, is going to the gym, right? That's already in my schedule. I don't have to create that as a goal. The gym's already there. That's a discipline that I have. I meditate every single day. That's a discipline that I have. My diet. I keep my diet centered around mostly carnivore type of eating. I'm not like super strict. I don't have to be. But I'm sticking mostly to carnivore type of eating because it helps me think the best, right? So these disciplines that I have give me a confidence and a charisma that I just naturally carry with me everywhere I go, right? One of the guys did a little, I think I already talked about this in my last video, but he did a thing on leadership, and he said leadership is having a presence. And he said I was really good at bringing a presence into the room. I talked about that in my last video, right? But that presence comes from that knowing within myself, right? I just know within myself that I'm solid. I don't have to prove to anyone else, right? It's a huge part of masculine energy, is being unbothered. You're unbothered by everyone, right? This girl, we were leaving, and she said, what are you getting ready to do? I said, I'm going to go to the gym. And she said, oh, you work out? And I said, nobody's ever said that to me. But we wear suits every day, so I'm covered up. But she was teasing me, right? She was just teasing me. And it didn't bother me. I didn't get offended. I didn't get upset. I'm not sitting here like I'm about to work so fucking hard and make sure that I get big enough that she can tell in my suit. Because my suit's not tailored or anything, so you can't, I don't know if you can tell if I work out or not, right? Don't care. Because it's me. It's me that produces the money. It's not my muscles. It's me that produces the muscle. It's me that produces the money within. And so I could get upset and say, damn, I'm such a skinny bitch. I could have made excuses and said, no, I just did a 6-day fast. That's why it doesn't look like I haven't lifted in a while and I lost that pump and Give a fuck. Give a fuck, right? I want to be able to move my body. I like having muscles, but I want to be able to move my body and I want to be healthy. I'm turning 30 this year. I need to be healthy. I need to make sure that I can move. I'm watching my father slowly die of Parkinson's and seeing his movement just go away and away and away and away. And when a nurse comes to the house and gives him a little workout, gets him moving and stuff, his brain, he perks up. He comes alive. He has a lot more energy. He feels better. He speaks stronger, right? He has a hard time speaking. And it's all just from moving, right? The point is to move your body so you feel good. Move your body so your posture is good. Most people have so much tension, and their body is always digesting food. They have digestive pain, upset stomach, different type of, they can feel that their body is constantly digesting. They're constantly full and they don't move enough, right? So they become sick. And a 30-year-old like me, a guy who's almost 30, they act a little bit older than they are. They look a little bit older than they are, right? So that discipline gives you an internal confidence because you stick to the same thing. You have a routine. You know what you're going to do every day. You're able to make decisions because you don't have a million things in front of you. It's like, no, this is what I'm going to do today. Right? So this girl, when I was talking to her, she asked me, what are your hobbies? And I told her, I was like, I kind of hate to have this question because I don't have hobbies. I've never had hobbies, right? I picked up a guitar one time. It only lasted about a year. I could play a little bit here and there because I thought it was cool. I wanted to learn how to play guitar, right? I wanted to learn an instrument and challenge myself. Once I got to the point where I could play it pretty well, I could strum a whole song and stuff, I put it down. I said, I learned the guitar, right? It's good. I don't have time for a hobby. So I was like, well, I really just like to work out. I like to spend my time outside, and I like to meditate and just zone in and work. That's what I like to do. Those are my hobbies. That's my fun, right? But it's all improving me. And that's how men are supposed to be. I don't think that men are supposed to have all of this leisure time and have a bunch of fucking hobbies and stuff, right? I asked her what her hobbies were. They were cooking and journaling. She likes to journal and write in a notebook, right? That's not like a hobby. If I ever pull out a notebook, I'm planning something. There's plans being written down. There's work being done, right? How many of you guys actually pull out a notebook as a hobby to just get your emotions off? Maybe you do that. Sometimes I do that. Sometimes I just write whatever's in my head. But for the most part, when I pull out a notebook, there's a plan. I'm writing stuff down, right? There's a purpose to it. We don't do purposeless things. We don't do things that aren't fruitful. So there's so many guys that don't even have, like, they don't do anything, they don't discipline themselves, and they don't have a hobby, right? And like nothing in their life is ever producing anything. So by having discipline, it's going to naturally grow that masculine energy. And it's going to expand further than anyone around you because no one around you is disciplined. Be honest. Be honest. Nobody around you is disciplined. Why in 2 days did I outperform literally everyone? Right? All I needed was everyone works 6 days a week. I just missed my 4 days. If I would have had 4 more days, I literally would have beat everyone except for my friend, who is also my trainer. Why? Because they don't have the juice. Right? That charisma is built. It's not a natural thing. Don't ever believe in this genetic, natural stuff. Yes, there are people who are naturally better at things than others, but that does not mean that you can't learn it. Think about Messi and Ronaldo. Messi has more natural talent than Ronaldo. Ronaldo worked his ass off to get to where he was. Messi worked his ass off. Who's better? Who is more legendary? I have to say it's probably Messi. Messi's probably more well-known, more legendary as being the best. So he was able to edge Ronaldo out just a little bit and get first place because he had talent. But their work ethics were the same. Ronaldo had the work ethic to move himself up and get second place. And I guarantee he's happy with that. I guarantee he's happy with that. And that's how life is, right? So if you think, I'm not very charismatic, I don't have much charisma, you can work to become more charismatic. And if you work harder than me, you'll have more charisma than I do. Right? hard work beats talent when talent doesn't work hard. So true. And most people who have talent are taught and told when they're young, you're so great, you're so perfect, everything you do is awesome, right? I wasn't taught that way. My father did that to my brother, and it really hindered my brother. He would brag on my brother about how awesome and great he was as is. But for me, my father would talk about how hard I worked and how much effort or energy I would put into something or how much time I put into something. And when he would brag on me to family, friends, family, different things like that, he would always say, this kid does whatever he puts his mind to. And that's what he always told me. You can do whatever you put your mind to, Nick. You do it already. Whatever you put your mind to, you make it happen. And so my father, not knowing what he was doing, was hindering my brother. He was cutting my brother off at the knees by telling him, you're already great. You already have a natural talent. You're already great. So my brother never worked. He still doesn't. He's still just lazy. But for me, my father was telling me, you work hard. You put in a lot of effort. So that incentivized me as a child to do more, to work harder, to have more discipline, so that I could perform, so that I could get praise, right? So no matter if you as a child were told like my brother how great you were, now you understand what's going on. Now you understand why you might lack work ethic and why people who have less talent than you are outperforming you, right? Work ethic. Work ethic fixes everything. It fixes everyone. We've got a guy in our office that everyone brags on because he has no talent. He sucks, but he works hard. And so he outperforms everyone. He does a good job because he outperforms, or because he works hard, right? Now, he won't outperform me or my friend because we have the same work ethic, and my friend and I have natural talent that this guy doesn't have. So he won't outperform us, but everything in life you can learn, you can become good at, and you can beat 99% of people all off of work. There's only 1% that you need to worry about because they're in whatever you're doing and they have a natural talent. If you're boxing, as long as you work harder than everyone else, you will beat 99% of the people. So you might get to the point where you get a championship belt all because you worked hard, not because you had a natural talent. Look at like Sean Strickland and Dricus du Plessis. Dricus, he's got a natural talent, right? He is a natural-born fighter. He wants to kill, and he's very unorthodox, but there's just a natural talent that he has that despite being unorthodox and crazy, he wins all of his fights. That's how you know he's talented. Sean Strickland, great work ethic, right? He's very technical with how he fights. And that comes from his training, from his work ethic, right? He's very rigid. Whereas like Dricus du Plessis switches from OG to Southpaw constantly, the whole fight. Because he's got that talent that he can switch. Sean stays in one place because he's worked on this one station right here. And this motherfucker went to the top like that, just off of work ethic. So this is what you can do in your life. And if you're caught up in your head thinking, I don't want to be second, listen, second is better than last. At least your name is there. At least your name goes down in history, right? There's only one person that beat you. That's pretty good. Now, if you have the talent, you're going to get wrecked by like a Sean Strickland because he worked harder than you. He was more disciplined than you. Right? So you look at guys like Khabib and Conor. Khabib just outworked Conor. That's all it was. They both had a natural talent. It was a very even matchup. Khabib just worked harder. He was more disciplined. Conor had already won a championship or two. He was partying, enjoying himself, fucking off, and he lost to the guy who was hungry, who said, I'm not going to do any of that. Everything is about this fight. Everything. Nothing else matters but this fight. And he won, right? So that is the level of discipline you have to have that masculine energy, right? Everyone will pick up on it, right? Everyone in this office, I'm new, they've all already picked up on the fact that I'm very stoic and I have this charisma, right? I didn't expect to hear that. I never expected the manager to mention that, right? But he did. But everyone has picked up on that, and I get respect from everyone in the office. People I don't know think that I'm the manager. They think I'm the boss, right? And it's because I am the boss, right? Because within, I've got it. I know what I do. I know what I do. I know that when I get off today, I'm going to the gym. I got to do some laundry. I'm not going to eat until tonight. And I'm going to meditate. I got all this extra time off. It's noon and I'm not working. It's my day off. So I'm going to spend an extra hour meditating. Just working on my mindset. Manifesting something new. Growing. Right? Becoming better. Everyone else, right? That girl, she's going to go cook some food and fuck off. Right? That's what everyone else is going to do. They're going to go smoke weed. They're going to go fuck off. Alright, so got interrupted there, so I kind of lost where I was. So I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up, but just understand, guys, that discipline, do not shy away from discipline. You need to become more disciplined. It'll naturally increase your masculine energy. I know what you guys want. You want respect. You want power. You want women. You want status, right? We're men. We all want the same things, right? These things are not our end-all, be-all, okay? They don't make us. We are who we are no matter what. They don't define who we are, but they do enhance our lives, right? We all want money. My manager was asking people, what does being rich mean to you? He was asking it, and everybody was virtue signaling, saying, having a family around. And he came to me and said, Nick, what is being rich to you? And I said, having enough money to do whatever I want, whenever I want. And he literally said, now, mind you, this manager is like 24, 25, and he's making like 1.2 million a year. Dude literally said, finally someone said money. That's what he said, right? The most successful, charismatic guy in our office at a young age acknowledges, doesn't try to virtue signal, and says being rich means having money. Right? You can try to change up these definitions and do all this weird stuff. It's better not to do that. It's better to keep things simplified, because that's what we want. We're men. We like money, we like status, we like respect, we like power. It makes us feel good, makes us confident. So, how do you get all these things? Discipline is one of the ways. It's more about what you don't do and less about what you do. Cut out the shit food. Cut out the porn. Cut out the weed. Cut out the alcohol. Stop wasting time with friends. Stop hanging out with friends that just waste time and talk about stupid shit. Discipline yourself. Be alone and work, right? It's more important to not do things. Take things out. In the modern world, you have to take things out over adding things in. Okay, guys? So subscribe to the channel, share this with a friend. Have a good one.